Pakistan's superior courts, particularly the Lahore High Court, Islamabad High Court, and the Supreme Court, are drawing severe criticism from Pakistanis for the lack of inaction on human rights violations in the country. Hundreds of political prisoners, including females and senior citizens, continue to languish in jail, arrested extrajudicially in night raids by the country's unhinged law enforcement apparatus. Among the prisoners are the likes of Khadija Shah, an entrepreneur and the country's leading fashion designer, who's been granted bail in almost a dozen frivolous cases by the Lahore High Court, but continues to languish in jail, now held under administrative detention. The Supreme Court, under new Chief Justice Qazi Faiz Isa, has turned a blind eye to such violations and also refused to hear the bail application pending before it for the former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Pakistan ranks 129th out of 140 by the World Justice Project in 2022. According to reports in Pakistani media, civilian trials and military courts continue despite a Supreme Court order declaring it unconstitutional. Additionally, a contempt of court application has been filed against the country's defense secretary for failing to comply with the order of the Supreme Court. The contempt petition was filed by senior counsel Faisal Siddiqui, a senior advocate of the Supreme Court and petitioner in the case which challenged civilian trials in military courts. According to the petition, the alleged contemner is responsible for the implementation of the directions issued on October 23rd as the head of the Defense Ministry, which must issue directions for the transfer of custody of persons to criminal courts. Quote, contrary to clear and unambiguous declarations of the court, the continuing detention with the military authorities of persons identified in the list provided to the Supreme Court amounts to unconstitutional and illegal acts, end quote, the plea read. Among the detainees is former Prime Minister Imran Khan's nephew, Barrister Hassan Niazi. Power distribution companies in Pakistan have overbuilt Pakistani consumers by the billions, according to a report by the country's power regulator, NEPRA. In an inquiry report released on Monday, the power regulator regretted that the distribution companies were intentionally engaging in such malpractices to conceal their inefficiencies, causing thousands of consumers to suffer from higher electricity bills. These companies issued electricity bills with invalid snapshots and manipulated billing cycles of over 30 days to deprive protected consumers of subsidies. The report expressed grave concern that in July and August of 2023, thousands of consumers received bills with invalid snapshots. The report recommended legal proceedings against all distribution companies for violations, immediate replacement of defective meters, revision of inflated bills, and action against officials involved in illegal practices. Terrified civilians are trapped inside the Kamal Adwan hospital in northern Gaza as Israeli forces have encircled the medical facility, a senior official at the Ministry of Health tells Al Jazeera. More than 100 people have been killed in strikes close to the facility, the ministry said on Tuesday. Quote, the Israeli occupation forces have laid siege to the hospital from all sides. We are targeted by gunfire and artillery shells, end quote, said Munir al-Barsh, Director General of the Health Ministry in Gaza, speaking from inside Kamal Adwan. Quote, patients, injured, and those who took shelter in the hospital are gripped with fear, overwhelmed by horror, end quote, he said. More than 1.1 million people were ordered in mid-October to evacuate the north of the Strip and to move southward as Israeli troops were advancing their ground offensive.